October 4th in the evening, the last time Kada Scott was seen at her place of work up in Mount Airy area. Our evidence that we followed, and we did involve a lot of investigators on this, led us to several places, that digital evidence, and as everybody knows, we searched a very large area up in the Aubrey Arboretum, and we came up really with negative results. After that time, we asked the Homicide Division, the FBI Violent Crime Task Force to enter into the investigation to assist. All right, and we continued our search trying to track Ms. Scott's whereabouts along with anybody she may have encountered during that time. Our evidence is pretty clear that she was in communication with an individual. That individual appears to meet her very shortly after she leaves her place of work, and very shortly after that, she disappears off of the footprint. We have a lot of digital evidence, video and other, which provides us with this individual by the name of Keon, K-E-O-N, King, K-I-N-G. We believe this individual, and through our evidence, we were able to charge this individual. The district attorney was able to charge the individual. You'll hear from them shortly with kidnapping at this point. It's very important to know we're not done our investigation. We need to find Ms. Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her to cause her to completely disappear from all her items, her phone, her Instagram, social media sites, and everywhere else, work. She left her car at that location. So it's very important that this individual, who does have prior history of being arrested, especially for this very same thing, this year was charged with kidnapping another female acquaintance. That case was dismissed from court, and I'll explain it. It's going to be refiled now as we're going to move forward to attempt. So he's being really charged with 2 cases today of kidnapping, and in that case it involves assaults that occurred during the kidnapping. So this is a pattern of behavior. That vehicle that you've seen, the Toyota Camry, was his vehicle. All right, that vehicle's not recovered. All right, some of the stuff he did as we attempted to find him was he got rid of things like the car, the phone. We're not able to find things that he was using. He had an address in Southwest Philadelphia. He had other addresses that it looks like he's not using anymore. So he attempted to elude us for some time. He did come in last night. He's here being processed, but there's a lot of questions we still have. So we're asking the public's help. We need it more than ever. This car, you'll see a better picture of it. We sent it to you digitally. It's a gold-colored Camry, 1999. It has heavy front-end damage on the left front bumper. All right, that's being described that way several times. We know it's been in the Mount Airy area. We have photos of it in Center City. We have pictures of it in Grace Ferry area and in Southwest Philadelphia. So it's possible that it could be anywhere. It could be outside the city. So if somebody sees this, thinks they know where this car is, it's very possible it doesn't have this tag on it anymore. So if you see a car like it, we're urging you to call police, have it investigated. Any information on this, you can call our tip line, 215-686-TIPS, 8477, or the Homicide Division directly, and give that information. All right, I'm going to turn things over to ADA Teslowski, who could speak a little more about the charges and potentially other charges that he's facing.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Teslowski. I am an assistant district attorney in the homicide unit.
I'm going to stop it right here just for a second. Okay, I've got it. Okay, I'm going to stop it right here for a second because at the end of the day, I've got something to say. You know, Kada Scott, first of all, I want to say this. I'm so sick of hearing this coming from the Democrat-ran areas. You guys can beat me up all day long and say all the nasty things and try to throttle my account, do whatever you need to do behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be speaking and I'm going to be heard about this. Why is it always the Democrat-ran cities that don't know how to lock these animals up? Why does it always have to be a beautiful young lady that gets raped and murdered before they get a clue? A clue! This is in Pennsylvania, a blue state. This is in Philly, a blue county. And yet, once again, every time we come here and we're talking about these types of crimes specifically, it is always somebody that should have been in flipping jail. And you can be mad at me and say, oh my God, Betty, quit screaming. You all can kiss my butt too. Because I'm sick and tired of running these cases. These animals should have been off the street. They're not off the street. They're in your communities, raping and murdering your babies. And you keep voting these pieces of shit back into office. Meanwhile, your babies are getting slaughtered. Whatever.
I became involved in this investigation last week when the investigation was turned over to the homicide unit. So I became the assigned ADA when detectives Rob Daly and Joe Kremen took over the case. The first thing I want to say is that PPD and our federal partners and Detective Daly and Detective Kremen have done an amazing job to get us where we are. Today I'm joined by Tracy Washington from our Victim Services Unit and also Bob Listenby, the first assistant of our office. What I can confirm is that our office, as of the early morning hours into the early morning hours this morning, did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Miss Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping. What we're able to confirm and what I was able to charge based on is what we know, which has already been said, which is that this person, Mr. King, is the last person we believe to be in contact with her, and that he was in contact with her when she went offline, meaning her phone, everything. So at this point, the investigation has led us here, and we're able to charge him with kidnapping, recklessly endangering another person, use of a communication facility, meaning his phone. We were able to track his phone and communications on his phone. He's being processed as we speak. When I picked up this investigation, one of the things that our office also learned was that he did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping. That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court. I pulled that file, and after an...
Hold on, we're having some technical issues. We're having some technical issues. See if we can...
Yesterday, he was served on that as a part of our conversation with him. Him being here and being processed on the new charges, he was served for that, so he will also be facing a preliminary hearing on that previous kidnapping case as well.
I don't know how they were connected. Did he work with her? Did he live in the community? You know, they're missing a big chunk of information here, unless we missed it, because there was a big part of this at the beginning that we missed. So
at this point, he will have 2 open kidnapping cases that will face preliminary hearings in the coming months.
Because your piece of shit office decided to drop the charges on the first one, therefore it allowed him to rape and murder this woman. I mean, let's face it, we already know what's in the future of this case. Kada Scott is gone. She's deceased, and she's deceased by a man that should have been behind bars, that should have never been able to hurt her. Once again, from a Democrat-ran community. Once again, from a Democrat-ran community. Once again, on Let's Defund Police community. Once again, another 20-something-year-old that votes the same way as everybody else in that community has now become a victim of their own votes. Guys, we have to do better in America. I am sick of hearing the same thing over and over and over again. Jake Harrow should have been in prison, but he wasn't. And guess what? His 7-month-old son is deceased because of it. This woman here should be here. And guess what? He's not. Why? Because somebody that should have been in prison was out to murder? How about the girl on the North Carolina subway, right? In a Democrat-ran community where a man that should have been in prison was able to kill her on that train. How many more of these do we need? Do we need to keep coming up with examples? But Democrats want to run people out of their communities that are trying to make it a safer place. Why? The only thing I can think of is Democrats are fine with homicide. That's the only thing I can figure out, is that the Democrat Party, because they're the rulers of these communities, and time again, they constantly put their law-abiding citizens in peril with their criminals because they don't want to lock the criminals up. They think that they're being too mean. They're being too mean to the criminals. And they want to show them compassion. They want to show these idiot criminals compassion. Compassion. Okay. Well, now you have an innocent, thriving young woman that you now have to bury because you decided to show a criminal that will never change compassion. Congratulations. Another law-abiding, beautiful citizen of America gets to go to their grave because our government refuses to hold the people accountable that need to be held accountable. So now we get to bury yet another child. So mommy and daddy, hopefully this wakes you up. And I hope that from this point forward, you guys vote a lot differently. Because these people are killing us. I can't prove it to you any other way than constantly be running these things up on my channel and showing you how many people should be in prison and should have never been able to harm. But because we have bleeding hearts for these criminals that want to see us dead, right? Since we have this bleeding heart, you know what? All you bleeding hearts, why don't you take these criminals home with you? Why don't you go and put them in the beds next to your children? Okay? Because your policies are putting these animals in bed next to somebody else's children. And I'm sick and tired of seeing the results of your votes and how your votes are affecting everybody around you because you want to have a bleeding heart, yet you don't want them living with you, right? Everybody's okay with immigration until you're required to house them, right? Then all of a sudden, you're not so comfortable with immigration anymore, right? You're okay with putting criminals out on the street until you are required to live next to a murderer. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we need to be tougher on crime. It's so easy to sit here and have the bleeding heart when it's not your family and it's not your children in jeopardy. But it's somebody's. You all need to wake up. You all need to wake up around this country. Kada Scott should have never been injured. I thought she just being a 20-something. And here the poor girl is most likely raped and murdered. That's sad. That's sad. I don't have a whole lot to say on this topic. We did have this press conference. We'll keep going through it. I think there's going to be some more people coming up.
I don't know if there's any questions.
For the district attorney's office, how many times does a defendant, does the case appear before a judge that it's then withdrawn? I mean, how many times is this?
How many times prior charges?
And the decision then gets made, it's withdrawn?
It depends. In this specific case, what I could tell you is that after the first listing, when the victim failed to appear, the case was marked what I'll call must be tried, which is a little bit of a court lingo, but basically saying if it's not tried by the next listing, it'll either be dismissed or withdrawn. It was marked that way after the first listing when she didn't appear in court, and then at the second listing, when again we didn't have the witness or the victim in court, it was at that point withdrawn given the previous marking.
Do you have his date of birth?
I do not, but I'm sure we can get that.
Yeah, okay.
The video of the vehicle in the area of the Arboretum, so we believe that's the vehicle that.
This vehicle has been traveling all over the city. So we do believe this video is involved in what we're talking about, and we have it all over the city in concert with how he's moving as well. Yep, we have the date of birth for you. It is 5/6/2004.
We'll get to that alcoholic. They've already
5/6,
released his name, but give me just a moment, and we'll go back to that.
I'm not willing to comment on that at this time. That's still very much being investigated in terms of their relationship and how long they knew each other.
So the significance of the car right now, the urgency, if you will, can you address why you believe people need to find this car?
Sure, I can certainly comment on that, or if you want to. I mean, at this point, we believe he is connected to this vehicle. We also believe she may have been in that vehicle.
As far as the other case, the kidnapping case,
Yes.
can you just explain some of the circumstances surrounding that case? Brief as you need to be.
Sure. That case is an individual that was known to him, a domestic in nature. And what I can say is the allegations in that case are that he kidnapped a woman in front of her house, threw her in her car, assaulted her, and then eventually let her out of the car. There is some video evidence, I believe, that'll be played at the preliminary hearing, but that was domestic in nature.
So I wonder if she knew him, if she had a relationship with this guy.
It was this year in 2025. The case was withdrawn in May, so it predates that by a little bit.
What was the last location this car was seen?
I don't know if we have exactly the last location, but what I can say is through our investigation, it was tracked all over the city, in multiple areas of the city in multiple different time periods throughout, the entire length of this investigation.
When police were
But they can't seem to find it.
Southwest Philadelphia last Thursday night, was that one of his addresses?
It was one of the addresses connected to this investigation.
Do you believe anyone else might be helping King or possibly driving that vehicle for him?
In terms of other people being involved, I don't have comment on that at this time. It's still very
Yes,
much
they
being
found,
investigated.
they,
There have been several phone numbers
No, they
involved that we've
haven't
been
found
tracking,
her.
but
Sorry.
all roads.
they have not found her. They have arrested somebody they believe is involved in her kidnapping. So if she wasn't with him and she hasn't been found, the chances of her being found alive are very slim. It sounds like he's done this previously in a prior domestic relationship that ended. He ended up swiping his ex-girlfriend, assaulting her, and then eventually letting her go, which makes me wonder, how did he know Kada? Was he in a relationship with her? Is this another domestic situation?
At this point leads to him, and so that's what we're hoping leads us to her.
After she arrives at work at 10 o'clock, how big is the time limit that she actually remains at work?
Nobody knows this.
She's not there long at all. She gets there maybe just before 10, and right after she's out, maybe 20 minutes. That's what I'm told.
Are they communicating at this point?
We believe they are, yeah.
So I don't know. It seems. So they're communicating within 20 minutes of her arriving. Did she date this guy and then just give him, ghost him, and he get really, really pissed and upset?
I don't know their relationship. Obviously, they had a connection. They're going back and forth, and they've known each other for a short time. But
So there is, okay, so weren't going to talk about the connection between them, but he did connect, to connect some dots here that he probably didn't intend to do, but was challenged on it and opened his mouth. But it sounds like that they have been communicating back and forth. So they did have a connection. They did know each other. This is not a random act of violence. That's what I'm gathering here.
I don't know how long.
Do you know if she's willingly meeting him, or?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
I just wanted to see, is he saying anything, is he being interviewed?
I'm not going to comment on that at this point. All right, good. What do you want? What? Sorry for the judge? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here, just go up and get this
All
off
right.
the screen.
Just do it up there.
Yeah, just go up with the cameras on. Yep.
All right.
Oh, you're all on.
Okay. So let me go back here because I'm going to send it back. It looks like that ended. They said this guy here says some things at the beginning.
All right, I ain't know. Good?
Oh.
You want to stand on this? Oh. Yes. Okay. All right. Good morning. Just want to give you an update on the disappearance of Kada Scott, which occurred on October 4th. 11 days ago. Going to provide you an update in terms of an individual that is currently in custody for his involvement in the disappearance of Ms. Scott. However, still a lot of work needs to be done, and so I just want to make that very clear as to why we are here and the information that you will receive. Essentially letting you know how we have gotten here, but more so the public's help that we need right now. The public has been very, very helpful thus far in providing a lot of information, which the investigators have been able to track down a lot of the leads, which has helped us get to this point here. But as I said, a lot of work still to be done. The number one priority is locating Ms. Scott. I just want to make that very clear. And so while we are at this stage of this now, that's our priority. And so we will ask for your help in locating this vehicle, which you'll get a little more information. It's a 1999 metallic gold Toyota Camry with a Pennsylvania tag of MSX0797. But we need to know where this car is. We need to find this car. Making this very clear, it's not to just focus on the northwest section of the city of Philadelphia. This car has traversed through the entire city. And so I want that to be clear, that every neighborhood, every person listening to this, whether you're in North Philly, South Philly, Southwest, Northwest, please open your eyes and Southwest, Northwest, please open your eyes and see if you locate this car, or if you have seen this car, please contact us and give us that information. The second part of this is the individual that Deputy Commissioner Venor will provide his information very shortly. Want folks to understand this person has a little bit of a pattern of this type of history. And so we want to encourage anyone that may have been involved with this individual, anyone that may know this individual, please, at this point in time, make that phone call. Feel comfortable enough to call us and let us know if you have any information regarding this person, regarding any interaction you've had with this individual. If you have been a victim of any crime regarding this individual, I want you to understand now is the time to make that phone call and let us know. Give us that information so that we can continue on. Again, just want to make it very clear that a lot of work has been done, starting off with Northwest Detective Division, and then this case shifting over to homicide, making it very clear that the case was shifted to homicide because we have the most experienced investigators in our homicide unit. They have the most experience dealing with all types of investigations. They also have the most resources available to them. And so we have the hopes that we are still treating this as if Ms. Scott is still alive, and that's why we want the public's help in trying to locate every single piece of this. But I just wanted to make that clear because I know there's been some reports once it shifted over to homicide, folks not understanding the why. And so that's the reason behind that. At this point in time, again, appreciate the help that we've gotten. I want to turn everything over to Deputy Venor to go into more details about the individual that has been taken into custody and some other pertinent facts of the investigation.
Sorry, I forgot my mic was off. So I just want to let you guys know that we've already went through this press conference, not this section, the next portion where the gentleman behind him gets up to the podium. But I did want to go back to the beginning because we did miss the beginning. So we're going to rewatch this press conference from the beginning to learn information. I know some people had asked, who the person is that was arrested. I also want to let you know that they have not found Kada's body. They have not recovered her. They have charged the suspect with kidnapping. What we've just learned is it appears that she may have some type of relationship with him. It appears that he has a history of doing this with past relationship, physical, boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. Just previously in May, he did this to his prior girlfriend, and then she chose not to show up to court. Now, Kada has been missing. It sounds like Kada only showed up to court for 20 minutes, and he must have coaxed her outside and then snatched her up. So for somebody that was talking about that, this was what we were talking about. We have no history on her. We had no history on who she was dating. We all know that typically the first person we always look at is the significant other or somebody that the person had a recent relationship with. We try to identify them and let that go, identify them and either prove that they've had something to do with it or not, and then move on. But in this case, nobody talked to us about her relationship. As a matter of fact, the family, it appeared, pulled some of the social media down, making it almost next to impossible for anybody to really assist in this. But it sounded like they had an idea. There was something that told me, at least by yesterday, that told me that they had an idea of who they were looking at and looking for. And when we knew that the homicide investigators came in, we knew that this was serious. At first, I thought it was a young lady that ran off with her boyfriend or another friend on a Saturday night and wanted to go out and have a good time. You know, it's not uncommon, not unheard of. And then usually they come home in, you know, a few days. Well, we told this story, I think it was the very next day or the day after. So she disappeared on the 4th, and I believe we were running the story on the 4th, the 5th or the 6th. And we were learning at that point that there may be some things not right, but nothing definitive to tell us other than she was getting harassing calls but would not tell who they were from. And I started not believing that they didn't know who it was, like yesterday when the homicide detectives, because they kept saying somebody unknown. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. She's talking about being harassed by somebody. She's not calling law enforcement. Her coworkers know about it, her friends know about it, and her family knows about it. But it's an unknown person. I would think that if her coworkers, families, and friends knew about it, there would have, especially if it was an unknown person, there would have been a report made from to law enforcement about the harassment, the unknown harassment, just to find out what's going on. I've had unknown harassers harass me and do things. I filed a police report.
All right, good morning.
I'll be back. I gotta get some coffee.
Reiterate what the Commissioner Stanford said. We've been investigating this since Saturday, October 4th in the evening. The last time Kada Scott was seen at her place of work up in Mount Airy area. Our evidence that we followed, and we did involve a lot of investigators on this, led us to several places, that digital evidence, and as everybody knows, we searched a very large area up in the Aubrey Arboretum, and we came up really with negative results. After that time, we asked the Homicide Division, the FBI Violent Crime Task Force to enter into the investigation to assist. All right, and we continued our search trying to track Ms. Scott's whereabouts along with anybody she may have encountered during that time. Our evidence is pretty clear that she was in communication with an individual. That individual appears to meet her very shortly after she leaves her place of work. And very shortly after that, she disappears off of the footprint. We have a lot of digital evidence, video and other, which provides us with this individual by the name of Keon, K-E-O-N, King.
I hate that. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So this is the guy that's charged with Kada Scott's kidnapping. Now, please remember Keon King. That's his name. Keonking. Keon King. This is a man that is charged with her kidnapping. This is not the first rodeo that we have done before on this channel. She was not found. They have him in custody. They have arrested him. There's a car missing, and she has not been found. The chances of her being alive at this point are slim to none. Okay? We do have hope that she comes home safely, as we always do. But we also are realists on this channel, and he's in custody, and she's never been found, folks. Okay? She's never been found. So the chances of her being alive after she disappeared 11 days ago is slim to none. What caused this to happen? What I see, this is what I see. They were obviously communicating. That's what we're going to hear. I'm going to put the press conference back up. Actually, you know what? You don't need to see them speak. Let's just keep this guy's face up here. This is Keon King. Let's keep his face up here, and let's listen to the stuff. I think you should be able to still hear the press conference behind, because it's still up. Let me know.
K-I-N-G.
You guys can still hear that, right?
We believe this individual, and through our evidence, we were
Okay,
able to
let's put him
charge
back.
this individual. The district attorney was able to charge the individual. You'll hear
Right
from
there.
them shortly with kidnapping at this point. It's very important to know we're not done our investigation. We need to find Ms. Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her to cause her to completely disappear from all her items, her phone, her Instagram, social media sites, and everywhere else, work. She left her car at that location. So it's very important that this individual, who does have prior history of being arrested, especially for this very same thing, this year was charged with kidnapping another female acquaintance. That case was dismissed from court, and I'll explain it. It's going to be refiled now.
Oh, it's going to be refiled now that somebody's lost their life. But we did hear how this was done. And it sounds like what had happened is the victim of the prior kidnapping chose not to come forward. This is why it is so important. If you are attacked by somebody, including a significant other, and I don't care how much you just love him, right? I don't care. What about the next person? We have to always be thinking about that next person, because there's somebody that's going to be after you. And if you know that this person is a violent MFer, you need to make sure he's notated as a violent MFer. You need to make sure that you're filing reports, especially after your relationship ends. It's over. You're done. Now it's time for you to protect the next person. This is awful. His previous victim was terrified to come to court. That's what Captain Nemo is saying. Other person, and it's very possible. But you know what? The way I'd like to explain it to people that are scared, I understand fear. I have a good understanding of fear. But we have to remember, in situations like this, having these people on the streets are even scarier, right? Going to court and knowing that he's going to go away for a long time is a lot less scary than having somebody free range and roaming on the streets that can get you at any time, unprovoked and unknown. We have to start changing the way we think. Yes, it's scary, and there's nothing that I'm going to be able to say to anybody that's going to make them go from scared to unscared. It's just something that each person has to find the strength within themselves. And sometimes that's where the problem lies. There is no strength within themselves, and they've got to be encouraged, you know? And I just want to tell everybody, you are a lot stronger than you think you are. Give yourself an opportunity.
As we're going to move forward to attempt, so he's being really charged with 2 cases today. of kidnapping. And in that case, it involves assaults that occurred during the kidnapping. So this is a pattern of behavior. That vehicle that you've seen, the Toyota Camry.
A pattern of behavior where this guy should have been in jail. Period. He should have been in jail. And let's face it, this day and age, in 2025, we don't necessarily need witnesses on the stand. Right? With our videos, our CCTV footage that's literally readily available everywhere, I truly believe there's going to be a time when a lot of our victims will not have to take the stand. That there's going to be enough video evidence and enough circumstantial evidence to put these people away for life or DP or whatever the case may be. Is Pennsylvania a DP state? I don't really care for Josh. I do not like your governor at all. As a matter of fact, I think he was part of the reason why Butler, PA happened. I think that was his way in to even be entertained for VP. Shortly after Trump was shot, he was identified as one of a couple on the short list for VP. I find that very, very interesting. And that came out shortly after the Butler event. So I kind of, I don't really care for your governor too much there in Pennsylvania. But without being disrespectful, which I have a habit of doing, and I apologize about that. It's not going to change anytime soon. Do you guys have DP there? I mean, I'm not confident that he would enact any because of they're soft on crime, as you can clearly see. But let me just look it up. I know that there's got to be something here. Let's see. Does PA have the death penalty? Yes, PA still has the death penalty, but no executions are currently taking place due to a moratorium imposed by the governor in 2015 and continued by his successor, Josh Shapiro. With capital punishment remains on the books, there are 94 inmates currently on death row. Again, putting the criminals above the victims. All those victims that are waiting for the day for their true justice for their loved one, 94 of them go without. 94. Now, I could understand it if the families, came up and said, you know what, we're not really, we don't really care about the DP. We want him to stay the rest of his life in prison. Now, if the family came up and said that, then I could see, that's the wishes of the family. No, his name is, yes, you guys missed it. It's Keon King. Keon King. The person that's accused of kidnapping Kada Scott is Keon King. It's Keonking. Hopefully that helps. If that helps you, Faye and Pebbles. It's Keon King, and it's this guy right here. There he is, right there, Keon. And he has a history of this. And it bothers me that he has a history of this. It bothers me that he should have been in jail, and he wasn't. And this is, if it wasn't such a broken record at this point, right? Like, if it wasn't such a broken record at this point, I feel like we would have we could palate it a little bit better. But this just seems like every case we're covering, it's like, oh, he should have been in jail. Just like every child case we cover, oh, the Department of Children and Family Services were involved. It's like, you're no matter what we do, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. It's like, man, just step aside and let us take care of it. Like, I'm so sick of dealing with government bureaucrats that don't know their ass from a hole in the wall. And I feel like this over and over and over again. It's like, what the hell are we doing here where these criminals keep walking free to go and murder people? And oh my God, society shouldn't complain. Good gracious. Be blessed it ain't you until it is. Right? Until it is. And what upsets me the most is these people in these communities keep voting for their own brutality. They keep voting for this. Guys, I'm telling you, you can live in a safe environment, safe homes, less drugs. Please, folks, I don't like seeing this continue to go on in our country. This man should have been in jail. And you're retarded, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to get knocked on here for saying the R word, R-tard. You know, government that keeps putting these animals back out on the street. You know? They're putting these animals back out on the streets. How many more of our babies need to come up on the Bullhorn Betty channel before we say hell to the nah. Guys, give me just a second. I'm gonna have to do something with my I'm removing my video. I'm gonna put a new video on. I don't like it. It's washing my face out, and I don't know why. It's driving me nuts. And I've been trying to fix it, and I haven't been able to fix it yet. So let me just reset the video device to, I'll put this as new device. Okay, we're going to do a new device, and it's going to be my webcam. There we go. Well, now you guys see my messy office. My buttons, my cuss jar, my green screen, and then all of my paperwork. But not as bad as what we think it is, but it is not the prettiest, I can tell you that. The studio. All right, I think that looks a little better. Let's see if we can get this over. You guys get to watch me do this. Okay, we got the new device. Let's put the filters on. Let's see if we can get my filter to work without, you know, making my face frickin' white. Look like I'm frickin' ghost. Okay, so how's that looking? Did it wash out my face? No, it didn't wash out my face, but it does have the whole thing going a little crazy behind me. We'll get back to this in just a second, folks. We'll get back to it in just a second. It's even got my face up here all messed up. So let's do a custom color. That's bright green. What color green do I got? I got a hunter green, really. Let's go to the green area. Let's go over here and move it to maybe something like that. Looks like about the green that I am. It's not gonna work. Alright, I'm just gonna delete the chroma key and worry about it later. We'll just have my background for now and then just be done with it. So there we go. I got some other stuff going on here, but we're just put my face up here and then I'll work on it. At least my face is not washed out, okay? I couldn't stand the washed out look. Like I'm crystal clear. Okay. And then I'll work on the chroma key. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's nice to see you. The car is parked next to the shed that looks like is on the a marketplace advised storage unit for rent. I'm going now. Oh, are you hearing some things? Mama Bear? I'm sorry. I'm walking in the middle of a conversation. I didn't see what else you wrote. I'm going for a little walk to take a look at the gold with the hubcap missing. I saw when I was walking to the pharmacy yesterday. Ooh. That might be interesting. Might be interesting, Mama Bear. Oh, let me put my new device down here where it needs to be. There we go. There we go. That would be very interesting. I'm very interested on that. I'm going to try one more time to adjust my green screen. My, maybe I can do color key. Let me see if the color key would work better. Huh. Custom. And that doesn't help at all. See, it just doesn't help at all. It just starts screwing with mine. I'm gonna have to do something with it. I'm not sure what, but it just starts screwing with my face on here, and I don't like it. I just don't like it. Showing this is all out and showing that, but mine is, it's almost there, just not quite. Just not quite. That looks a little bit better. Might have to just... No, I still don't like it. It just does something with my face. See all those little sparkly thingies? I don't like it. It shouldn't be doing that. I had it perfect one day, and then all of a sudden I came in here, but I had it perfect with it in office too, and then I came in here and it wasn't perfect anymore. It was just meh. So I don't like it. So we'll figure it out. I'll get this going, you know, at some point. We'll get the green screen working a little bit better than it is right now. But anyways, let's get back to the press conference for all those that are here that are trying to figure out what's going on. It's blingy. I do like blingy. I do, what can I say? Everything I buy sparkles. So I'm a blingy kind of person, you know. I agree. She shouldn't go alone there. Mama, it's nice to see you. Well, I mean, driving by and seeing something and seeing if it has, I mean, I do, you know, when you're by yourself, you got to kind of do everything by yourself, okay? So I'm one of those people, Karen can attest, I do a lot of stuff unless she's with me by myself. I mean, I went to Sebastian's case by myself. I got myself arrested for recording on public property, you know, because the parents are lying pieces of shit. But, you know, other than that, it's like, it is what it is, but we do a lot of things by ourselves.
Right, was his vehicle, all right? That vehicle's not recovered, all right? Some of the stuff he did as we attempted to find him was he got rid of things like the car, the phone. We're not able to find things that he was using. He had an address in Southwest Philadelphia. He had other addresses that it looks like he's not using anymore. So he attempted to elude us for some time. He did come in last night. He's here being processed, but there's a lot of questions we still have. So we're asking the public's help. We need it more than ever. This car, you'll see a better picture of it. We sent it to you digitally. It's a gold color Camry, 1999. It has heavy front end damage on the left front bumper.
Yeah, you guys can see that.
All right, that's being described that way several times.
There.
We know it's
And
been in the
there's
Mount
some more
Airy
right
area.
here, and
We
there's
have
some
photos
down
of it
here.
in Center City. We have pictures of it in Grace Ferry area and in Southwest Philadelphia. So it's possible that it could be anywhere. It could be outside the city. So if somebody's...
Well, Faye, your answer is, wow, he's serial. Yeah, he kind of is serial. He does this to his ex-girlfriends. So I have to assume, you know, which makes an ass out of you and me, I have to assume that that Kada and him must have had some type of relationship, fling, or, you know, had some type of liking of each other at some point, because it sounds like his MO is significant others. So it kind of, because his past kidnapping charge was from an ex-girlfriend, this kidnapping charge, you know, keeping with the MO, would, you know, lean that this woman is an ex of his or had some type of relationship, whether it was a one-night stand or whatever, and he just wouldn't let her go. You know, I don't know what the case is for that, but that appears to be what the situation is, you know? You're going to hear him say that they're not wanting to talk about the relationship aspect of it, but this guy right here, closer to the end of this press conference, slips and says, yeah, they were communicating with each other. So they obviously had a relationship.
He sees this, thinks they know where this car is. It's very possible it doesn't have this tag on it anymore. So if you see a car like it, we're urging you to call police, have it investigated. Any information on this, you can call our tip line, 215-686-TIPS, 8477, or the Homicide Division directly, and give that information. All right, I'm going to turn things over to ADA Teslowski, who could speak a little more about the charges and potentially other charges that he's facing.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Tuzlowski. I am an assistant district attorney in the homicide unit. I became involved in this investigation last week when the investigation was turned over to the homicide unit. So I became the assigned ADA when detectives Rob Daly and Joe Kremen took over the case. The first thing I want to say is that PPD and our federal partners and Detective Daly and Detective Kremen have done an amazing job to get us where we are. Today I'm joined by Tracy Washington from our Victim Services Unit and also Bob Listenby, the first assistant of our office. What I can confirm is that our office, as of the early morning hours into the early morning hours this morning, did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Ms. Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping. What we're able to confirm and what I was able to charge based on is what we know, which has already been said, which is that this person, Mr. King, is the last person we believe to be in contact with her, and that he was in contact with her when she went offline, meaning her phone, everything. So at this point, the investigation has led us here, and we're able to charge him with kidnapping, recklessly endangering another person, use of a communication facility, meaning his phone. We were able to track his phone and communications on his phone. He's being processed as we speak. When I picked up this investigation, one of the things that our office also learned was that he did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping.
Strangulation, folks. Strangulation. Did you guys hear that? So he obviously lost his cool. He doesn't like being rejected. It sounds like this man was rejected by Kada.
That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court. I pulled that file, and after an
Oh, wow, it stumbled here twice, so this must be an area of contention right here in this video. It froze here
yesterday,
the first time.
He was served on that as a part of our conversation with him. Him being here and being processed on the new charges, he was served for that, so he will also be facing a preliminary hearing on that previous kidnapping case as well. So at this point, he will have 2 open kidnapping cases that will face preliminary hearings in the coming months.
Now, I also said at this time previously, we kind of got our stuff fixed up, but it's still a little weird here and here. I got some hand issues going. Look at that. Oh, I can see my hands. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see. Whatever. My forehead's got something right here. You see it? It's like going right there. I don't know. Anyways, but we got the green screen at least fixed for a little bit for the rest of the show, and I'll play around with it after the show is over. But one of the things that we've just learned, and we've been learning a lot about this, but we missed it, at least I missed it the first go round. We watched this lady, we watched her speak, and I got really frustrated and went off on a tangent because they told us that this person basically should have been in jail and wasn't. And that another similar incident like this was failed to be prosecuted because the victim didn't show up. Why did they not force the victim to show up? You know, I bet you they're going to force the victim to show up this time. I bet you they're going to make that person come to court and speak their truth, or they're going to go to jail. You know, and maybe that needs to be what we do for some of these cases, because these domestic cases are becoming ugly. These people that are domestic violators, that cause domestic harm, they don't really change. You know, it's hard. You know, I always want to believe everybody can change, but we're not doing anything to move the needle in domestic violence, right? We're creating, you know, homes for people to go to. We've got a piece of paper, right, that says if the person comes near you, they're going to go to jail. Ooh, so scary, right? That piece of paper is so scary to these people that want to harm you. But we're not really moving the needle. We're not doing any therapies on these people. We're not teaching them how to deal with stressful situations without snapping. And yes, YouTuber, the strangulation aspect of it is the problem, because once you get angry and that's where you go, then that's what happens. And this young little lady, Kada Scott, just a tiny little thing. That guy looks pretty mean and looks pretty big and looks like, he could lose his stuff and boom, 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 it's all over but the crime. That's what it looks like here.
I don't know if there's any questions.
For the district attorney's office, how many times does a defendant, does the case appear before a judge that it's then withdrawn? I mean, how
Well, they don't want to say, and they don't know. They should know. They have a file on this guy.
It depends. In this specific case, what I could tell you is that after the first listing, when the victim failed to appear, the case was marked what I'll call must be tried.
So she's basically blaming it on the victim. The victim didn't show up, so we had no choice but to let it go by the second time. That's basically what they're going to say.
In the area of Arboretum. So legally, that's the vehicle that.
This vehicle has been traveling all over the city. So we do believe this video is involved in what we're talking about, and we have it all over the city in concert with how he's moving as well. Yep, we have the date of birth for you. It is 5/6/2004.
5/6/2004. 5/6/2004. So his name's Keon King, and his date of birth is 5/6/2004. And another person because mommy and daddy didn't show him love, right? Because I always blame the parents. When we have, and people are like, Betty, you can't blame the parents. Well, 9 times out of 10, let's be honest, it's the freaking parents. It's the lifestyle that they were raised in. It's the family dynamic. It's the parents. We have 10% of the time where you have great parents and you have a child that just went off on the rails, right? So we have a lot of great parents out there that have a lot of wayward kids. I understand that. But the majority, we're not talking about the minority of these cases. We're talking about the majority of these cases. And the majority of these cases, it's because these people are exactly what they are because of their family. Okay? Because of their family. Not for any other reason. It's because of their upbringing in their lifestyle. It's that. Like, we got good examples of where it really wasn't the parents' fault, but we don't know the family dynamic either. And that's like Tyler Robinson, where it appears his family was faith-based, right? He looked like he had grown up into a good home, a good Christian valued home. He got into school. He was manipulated by teachers, by the system, then went into the rabbit holes of social media and got sucked in. Next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a murderer, right? And we believe that the parents didn't drive, but how do we know? Like, how do we know that his father wasn't verbally abusive to him growing up because he was a little different? How do we know that there wasn't something that his family triggered in him that made him do this? We don't. We assume that he came from a good family, but we don't really know. Just like this guy here, his guy could be part of the statistics that came from a really good family and just turned out rotten. And here I am, blaming the parents, right? Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I always blame the parents. I always blame the parents until I find out there's not parents to blame here. Then I said, guys, the parents are good. Parents are good. But until that day comes, we blame the parents. Why? Because we got a dead kid. That's why. That's why we blame the parents. Because we got somebody deceased. And we got their child's the one that did it. Where did all that anger, animosity, and lack of control come from? Do you think we grow up? Do you think when we are born we're this angry and this hateful? Do you think when we are spat out of our moms, do you think we're this angry and this hostile and this hateful to anyone? No. Look at your own babies. They're innocent. They look at everything with amaze. They love everything. The only time that they usually cry is when something's taken away from them that they want, because they have no self-control and don't realize they have to take, because they're babies, right? But babies by nature, they don't have hate in their heart. They don't have evil in their souls. They don't want to hurt anybody. They don't want to go and beat you, right? So what happens? Something happens. I'm not going to allege what, because I really do believe it's different from each case. One case may have mental illness, one may be brainwashed by social media and video games.
So 5/6/2004.
Do you guys know how the two knew each other, how long it had been, and is this the specific individual that Kada had expressed concern about?
She's not going into details. You can kind of see this guy back here. He's not really paying attention. He's kind of looking at a different way. She, as the prosecutor, really doesn't want to let that information out, but he'll come back up here and he kind of divulges a little more information. So let's listen to how she responds to this. We do find out that there is hate is learned just like racism. Exactly. That is my point, 100%. So that's why whenever we have problems with children, you know, and I start seeing officers proud of themselves if they arrest a 9-year-old kid, I think that's ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing, if I saw that, you know what, I would be like, I'd be like those people out in Portland with ICE. I will be condemning the crap. If there's a freaking child under the age of 10 being handcuffed in the state of Florida, I will be out front of there. I will be advocating for child causes, right? Because at the end of the day, I truly believe there are no bad kids, right? They're taught. And people are like, but Betty, you said something about euthanizing children. There are children in this world that are very scary. I will tell you, there are children, okay, in this world that are very, very scary. I'm not talking about them children. Those are, you know, flukes, right? Those are flukes. I'm talking about normal children. Normal children, I absolutely believe, are a product of their household. So if a child's being bad, then they're at such a young age, or continuously being bad, there's something going on at home. Okay? Whether it's abuse, whether it's parents not being there, whether it's substance abuse, alcohol abuse, violence in the home, it's something. Okay, when you have children, because let's face it, children at 9 years old are playing with mud, okay? Mud pies, chasing each other, playing Dungeons and Dragons, playing cops and robbers, you know, whatever the case may be, they're 9 years old. They want to ride bikes and play baseball. So if you've got a child that's not wanting to ride bikes and play baseball, there's something going on inside their home that's making them be different than normal children. And so we have to start looking and focusing on that. I went on a tangent because it was a 9-year-old child that got arrested just recently for bringing a knife and threatening 2 kids with that knife. And my question is, why would a 9-year-old boy feel the need that he needs to bring a knife to school to protect himself? And why is that child being punished? We need to find out what happened. Were those other 2 people bullying him? And did he go to people and nobody helped protect him? But no, instead of finding out the basic information, they haul the 9-year-old boy away in handcuffs. If that was in my state, I would be screaming bloody murder.
I'm not willing to comment on that at this time. That's still very much being investigated in terms of their relationship and how long they knew each other.
So the significance of the car right now, the urgency, if you will, can you address why we believe people need to find this car?
Sure, I can certainly comment on that, or if you want to. I mean, at this point, we believe he is connected to this vehicle. We also believe she may have been in that vehicle.
So they believe she was transported and or murdered in that vehicle, or that her body may still be in that vehicle. This guy was apparently driving all over the Philadelphia area with this vehicle in the days and stuff. It sounds like law enforcement was hot on his trail and he was giving them a runaround until he came in. At least that's what I'm gathering here.
As far as the other case, the kidnapping case,
Yes.
can you just explain some of the circumstances surrounding that case, as brief as you would be?
Sure. That case is an individual that was known to him, a domestic in nature. And what I can say is the allegations in that case are that he kidnapped a woman in front of her house, threw her in her car, assaulted her, and then eventually let her out of the car. There is some video evidence, I believe.
So he let her out of the car. That means the crime seems to happen inside the vehicle. So now he's without vehicle, a vehicle he was with at the time all this happened, and this other woman was obviously not let out. So I think they're believing that she is either with the car or was in the car, and they can link him to her by that car. And that's going to be a huge hurdle, because if they can link him to her by that car, then they can start moving forward to acknowledge the homicide, which I think we're ultimately working toward. Again, we just reported yesterday about the homicide investigators finally coming to this case. And now we're also understanding that a person of interest is now a suspect and has now been charged with Kada Scott's kidnapping. I have a bad feeling as well, because she's been gone for 11 days now, and that's too long, and we have somebody that's charged with her kidnapping, and still she has not been found. That tells me that she has been disposed of. If he was charged with her kidnapping and she was coming home, we would know that everything is good, and whatever she went through, she's going to recover from. But we're dealing with a situation. Thanks, Phil. Phil just gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Audrey's Journey just received that Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. But I just feel that because he's charged with the kidnapping, they are looking for a car that she believed was in, and she still hasn't been recovered or brought home safely. That is leading me to believe we're going to find a grim reality. Her mom looked pissed. I don't know if at the beginning if her mom knew really what to think. But now that more days had gone by, you could see that the family was getting more and more concerned that this was not, something that she did herself. And now we're finding out that this guy, which she clearly had a connection with, and because he did this to another gal that he was in a relationship with, it's leading me to believe that she had to have had some type of relationship with this man.
I believe that'll be played at the preliminary hearing, but that was domestic in nature.
And do you have a time or about when that happened?
It was this year in 2025. The case was withdrawn in May, so it predates that by a little bit.
So something that happened around January, February, March of the previous year, of this year.
I don't know if we have exactly
Of
the
this
last
year.
location, but what I can say is through our investigation, it was tracked all over the city, in multiple areas of the city in multiple different time periods throughout, the entire length of this investigation.
When police were at an address in Southwest Philadelphia last Thursday night, was that one of those addresses?
It was one of the addresses connected to this investigation.
Do you believe anyone else might be helping King or possibly be driving that vehicle for him?
In terms of other people being involved, I don't have comment on that at this time. It's still very much being investigated. There have been several phone numbers involved that we've been tracking.
So it sounds like, I don't know, I think people will help unknowingly help somebody, but they don't know the circumstances. It doesn't sound like if they were dating, they would have been dating very long.
But all roads at this point lead to him, and so that's what we're hoping leads us to her.
After she arrives at work at 10 o'clock, how big is the time window that she actually remains at work?
She's not there long at all. She gets there maybe just before 10, and right after, she's out, maybe 20 minutes. That's what I'm told.
Wow.
We believe they are, yeah. I don't. I don't know their relationship. Obviously, they had a connection. They're going back and forth, and they've known each other for a short time, but I don't know how long.
Do you know if they're willingly meeting him, or?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
Still not getting it.
I'm not going to comment on that at this point.
Just goes from worst back to worse with my freaking chroma key.
All right, good.
All right, so they're done with it. We watched the whole press conference at this point. We know that Keon King, this is Keon King, he has been arrested for kidnapping Kada Scott. This is kind of taken, but we ask a lot of questions that weren't being answered, like what was her past history, who was she dating, you know, all of these things. These things make a difference, because if for her to come out of work, she would have had to date somebody, but nobody was talking about anybody she was dating. Nobody was talking anything I was trying to find online. I could not locate. So we had no real history of her, and then came to the spot at this new job. She just got this new job. You know, there's new people. She's getting harassed by somebody she doesn't know. And those were all intentionally misleading statements. And I do believe they were intentionally misleading. I believe the family, especially her still living at home with her mother would have been well versed in what was going on with her daughter. And I believe she would have confided in her mother that so-and-so is harassing her, you know, and her mom may have advised her to stay away from him, don't answer the phone anymore, or, you know, just be polite to him and just kind of, you know, start, you know, you don't know what advice parents give children. Sometimes it's, you know, keep the status quo and gradually, you know, start distancing yourself. It might be just cut off, you know, all communications with him. And you know, when it comes to matters of the heart, they are matters of the heart. So people do crazy stuff, but this guy, he doesn't like people telling him no. I think that's truly what we're going to be dealing with here. So Kada Scott, for just in conclusion to this case, it looks like Kada Scott is no longer with us. It looks like this Keon King, dated May 6, 2024, is responsible for her kidnapping from work, the theft of her electronic items, and ultimately, I would presume, her murder. Was she also raped in the process of this kidnapping and murder? Those details will end up coming out as this case proceeds. It sounds like they're keeping things close to the chest. But one thing we did find out is there was a relationship, some type of relationship between Kada and Keon. So we'll just have to see what all that is. If you guys see or hear anybody talking about this relationship on social media, please don't forget to send that to me, to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. And while I still have my glittery stuff, at least my face is not, you know, whited out like it was previously. You know, I couldn't stand it being whited out. So let me go ahead and take this. I'll have to work with the chroma key later today to get it adjusted again. I hate doing it. I actually think I'm probably going to have to push my computer and everything this way and put a little distance between me and the green screen in order for it. I tightened it up so I got the majority of the stuff out of it, the lines out of it. I got clips and stuff, so I tightened it up as tight as I could. But if you guys do have any information, or you guys would like me to look at a case that's in your community or that might be near and dear to your heart, please don't forget to reach out to Bullhorn Betty at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Also, if you do have a case and you do want to talk about it and you're willing to come up either on this panel or call into the show, I'm happy to give you an opportunity to express and explain your case to our audience just to get some more eyes and ears on your advocacy and your case. So please don't forget, Bullhorn Betty, share me around. We've been on these platforms for quite some time. We've been doing true crime for a really long time, and our batting average is very, very high. We do get a lot of things right. In this case, we did make some critical and crucial mistakes. One is I believe that this had some high signs of hoax. We were just coming off of a hoax with Caden Spate, and this being her just starting the job, nobody knowing who this harasser was. There was just stuff that just didn't seem probable to me, like her family and friends not knowing who's harassing her, and the question about whether or not she was at work and whether she clocked in. Those things caused a lot of problems for the analysis of this case. But at the end of the day, we deem this probably, even though we did discuss the possibilities of it being somebody at work, it being a jilted lover, or female or male. We did bring those up in the conversations, but in all honesty, I was leaning toward hoax. So obviously we had analysis issues on this one. It does happen. And we do find the analysis issues are mostly due to lack of information, the lack of good factual information in these cases for their assessment purposes. But again, I'm glad somebody's behind bars, and I'm glad that maybe this family will get some justice. But I'm very saddened that Kada is gone, that Kada has not been found yet. And with it being 11 days and her kidnapper being behind bars, it's leading me to believe and make a horrible statement that I do not believe she's alive, and I believe this is a recovery mission, that he will ultimately be charged with murder. It's sad that it takes this to finally keep people behind bars. It should never have come to this. Nobody should have ever lost their life when you have career criminals out there constantly breaking the law, and our judges and our prosecutors don't think any more of our lives than to put these animals back out on the streets with us. I'm tired of it, and I hope to God, and I say this across the board, please listen to my voice when I say this. We cannot afford to keep going this way, okay? I don't care about your political allegiance. This has got to end, okay? This has got to end, folks. We can't keep letting these criminals, these violent people, back out on the frickin' streets. They're killing us, folks. They're killing us. Please, 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 please vote differently. Vote differently, vote differently, vote for America. Vote for peace. Vote to end criminality. Vote to lock their asses up. Please. I beg of you. I beg of the people that are watching this, vote differently. In these communities where they're letting these bad guys out over and over and over again, they don't care about you. They don't care about your children, your mother, your brother. They don't care. If they did, they wouldn't make you live in this. I'm not living in fear in Florida. Okay? We don't have a Chicago in Florida, if you haven't noticed. We don't have a Portland in Florida. We don't have these. There is a way to truly have low crime and still get along. Florida's a living proof of it. We have problems here. Don't misunderstand me. And we do have crime. But we lock their asses up. We have very, very low career criminals in this. And when we do, Grady Judd calls it out like what? Okay? We have Grady Judd in the state of Florida as well, to boot, right? America's sheriff. So we have a lot of good things going on for us here in Florida. But guys, you're saying we're lucky. We didn't get here overnight. We worked for it, folks. And you guys got to start working for it too. There is freedom out there. There's less oppression, I promise you. These people that say that they're here for you are not when they're putting animals like this back out on the street. Folks, we got to do better as a society. Please do better. Please stop the criminality. Let's vote to lock their asses up. We're the true crime genre. We don't want criminals walking amongst us, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this show. If we didn't care what happened out there, what would be the purpose of being a part of the true crime genre, right? We're part of this genre because we're tired of criminals. We want to solve the crimes and we want to make sure that these animals are behind bars. That's why we do what we do. That's exactly why we do what we do. So guys, stand with me in solidarity and say no more. No more criminals being thrown out on the roads. No more criminals to harm our children. No more criminals to harm our women and children. We need to start having the approach of lock their asses up. Say it with me. Lock their ass up. Lock their ass up. Lock their ass up. We want violent criminals off the streets. I don't want them living near me, and I don't want them living near you. I'm equal opportunity woman here, and I'm equal opportunity angry woman here. Okay? I'm not going to sit here. Yes, stop the plea deals. Lots of people have been talking about this. We're tired of the plea deals as well. We need real solutions here, and the real solutions is not putting violent criminals back out in a civilized environment. That is a no-go. And you know what? The people that are making these policies know that. And they still do this with all of the information, knowing that one of us will die because of their policies, and they still continue to do it. They still continue to do it. Oh, look at that, the hen house. Jean, it's nice to see you guys. Big hugs and loves from you guys. Big hugs and loves. But it's time for us to start voting differently. If your politicians aren't tough on crime, it's time to vote them out of office. This is happening all over our country. We see it every single day here on the Bullhorn Betty channel and all the true crime content creators. We see these cases over and over again, and one thing we can almost always guarantee is the majority of these cases we cover, the assailant was supposed to be in jail. And when it comes to our children, the Department of Children Services were already involved. These are preventable cases, and yet they still happened. Enough's enough. We must do better. We must go out there. We must vote better. And we must fight, fight, fight. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And if you guys would like to help the Bullhorn Betty channel, you can do that by sharing and liking. That's the best way you can help the Bullhorn Betty channel. But if you want to go a step further, we have a variety of ways that you can contribute directly to our show through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, super thanks, super stickers, and super chats. And if you want to go a step further, we have our monthly memberships, so you can support us on a monthly basis to keep this show going and to keep the lights on. I appreciate all the love and the support as we start taking this case on. I don't know why Kada kind of resonated with me. It did resonate with me, but I still thought this was going to be another I prayed, maybe it was hopeful thinking. Wishful thinking, if you will, that she would come home safely. But now it's looking like we're in a different type of environment, and it looks like she might have lost her life. So let's just pray for the family and uplift the family through this horrible time, because this has got to be very hard on her mom and her dad and her cousins and her aunts and uncles. I mean, when you have a missing loved one, it's very, very hard. But when you have a deceased loved one, it's excruciating. And so we just I know that they're about to walk into a very, very dark path, and I just want to, you know, uplift them and put our hands on them and just pray over them as much as we can before they get the call. The call is coming, folks. The call is coming. So we just need to pray for this family, pray for strength. I would say pray for healing, but this is going to be a wound that is so large. We just need to pray for them to have strength to get through this. And just another preventable case. I don't know what else to say. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. We'll see you soon.